Hey everybody, welcome to episode 73 of the Fiberista Files. Today is Wednesday, March 28th. I really ought to look at that before I start. Um, well, as you can see, I'm by myself today. If you watched last week's episode, you know that I recorded with Steven of Dramatic Knits. I hope you were a little bit surprised that he was in the podcast. He had not told anybody really that he was coming to Maine. Of course I knew, but he kind of kept it on the down low, and I hope you were surprised by that. And then that was a week ago Monday. And then last weekend, also last Thursday night, I recorded with Katie, Jet Girl 1313 of the Knitting on the Fly podcast at her place on the coast. I went down to stay with her at a conference on Friday. So it's just me this week. I hope you're not disappointed. I kind of have a lot to talk about, but I'm hoping that I'm going to move right through it and not get sidetracked. So let's get right into it, shall we? Week in review. Seems like it's been longer than a week since I've podcasted because it's been kind of busy. I'm going to yawn a lot. Excuse me, I apologize. I'm pretty tired today. The weather has taken a bit of a turn for the worse. Last week it was sunny and 70 degrees, and today it's snowing. Snowing. Not happy. But anyway. Last week Stephen was here, and then it was a busy week at school like normal. Thursday was my Friday because I was going to a conference in Northport, Maine on Friday the 23rd. I think that's what it was. So I actually left school on Thursday at like 3:15, hopped in my car. It was beautiful. It was 75 degrees and sunny. I, got gas, got something to eat and drink, and then headed down the coast, literally down the coast, to see Katie, because Katie is only 45 minutes from Northport, which is much closer than I am. I'm like an hour and 15, so maybe not that much closer, but why not stay with Katie if you can, right? I know you would do it. I did it. Of course I would do it. It was really good to see Katie and to get some girl time and some FaceTime and just hang out, with one of my favorite people. We took a walk, hung out, laughed. We must have laughed until 1 o'clock in the morning because we were watching the podcast back. And for those of you who don't podcast, you don't know what you're saying when you're recording. And you watch the playback and you're like, did I do that? Did I say that? I don't remember saying that. Well, Katie had said over mayowed. And we didn't realize how many times she said it when we were recording, but when we were listening back, we were like, oh my God, you said that like 5 times. And then we had to number them and put that text in there. And like, we totally, oh my God. We laughed harder after we recorded than we laughed while we were recording. And if you watched it, we laughed pretty hard when we were recording. I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes for this week so that you can see it if you missed it, because it's so much fun. The conference on Friday was actually really good. Much better than I'd anticipated. You never know with a conference if it's going to be worthwhile or not. I do it because it's good for my recertification and because it gets me a day out of the classroom and it gets me a chance to go see Katie. And luckily, this one turned out to be fabulous. And not only did I learn a bunch of things, that I can use in the classroom, but our guest speaker was Wesley McNair. And Wesley McNair is a Maine poet. He's not from Maine, but this is where he lives and works and writes. And Wesley McNair is a fabulous poet. He writes in regular English about regular people. And so it's very accessible. You don't have to be an English teacher to understand it. And it's just delightful. And he was delightful. And he was very friendly and sort of easygoing and funny. And I was sitting there with colleagues of mine who I had, I generally see them only at conferences. I haven't seen them in a long time. We teach in different districts. And I was able to just enjoy my lunch, enjoy listening to a poet read his work, and I laughed, and I'm not going to lie, I got a little choked up in a couple of places because his writing is very honest, but this is going to sound hokey, and I know that, but I don't have another phrase. It's just sort of soul restorative. Like you're just able to just let go of all of the stress and everything and just enjoy where you are right there in that moment. And it was just fabulous. And really hadn't realized just how unable to enjoy my current situation I had been until I was able to just sort of let it all go. So it was really terrific. So Friday, after the conference got out, I immediately drove inland to the mountains to have a weekend at home. This is the second weekend in a row that I'd gone home, which was nice because I didn't have a humping? That's not a word. Honking load of laundry to do. Um, and my husband and I were able to sort of hang out and spend time with each other. I passed out on him Sunday afternoon. Like, I was cuddling and I fell asleep. And for half an hour, he wasn't even able to move because I was out cold. Fantastic. I don't know what he was watching. He was watching something on TV. I was dead to the world. He makes a great couch. It seems like we did something else. Oh, I know what we did on Saturday. We had our taxes done. Now, we knew that we were going to have to pay in. The business did very well last year. We don't have children. Not currently taking classes. Like, I knew we were going to pay in. The question was, how much were we going to pay in? We go to get our taxes done because there's no way I could do it on my own. Not with all the business stuff and knowing what to deduct and not. So sorry. And the lady who did our taxes last year did them again this year, same person. So she actually remembered us and remembered stuff about our taxes, and it was really good. And she did a fabulous job. In fact, after we left, she called us a couple hours later and was able to save us an additional $400 by changing a deduction from one category to another. She's able to save us $400. Still, my tax bill for this year, $1,900. I owe almost $2,000 in taxes. And of course, because the profit that I make from the business, when you buy something from me, half of the amount that you pay goes to the business and half goes to us. And that half that goes to us is going to paying bills, getting down debt, paying my rent, doing all that stuff. That's, I should say, that's how much you pay me after PayPal takes its cut, because PayPal takes a cut right off the top. So anyway, we've been paying bills with that. We've been catching up on things and weren't setting any aside to pay taxes. I know it's a rookie mistake. And in fact, we knew we were supposed to be putting money away. We mentioned it several times, and still we didn't do it. There was always more bills. The dog had to go to the vets a bunch of times. The truck needed $600 in repairs, and it just didn't happen. So we've got to come up with $1,900 now. And I asked the lady who was doing our taxes if we should set up a payment plan with the IRS. I'm going to talk about no, I'm not. I might as well talk about it now. I don't need to do it in processes. Because there's no way I can just come up with $1,900. So I asked her and I said, how do we do this? Do we set up a payment plan? Do we make installments? How do I do this? And she says, you want to know what you do? Of course I do. You pay everything you can before April 15th and you wait for the IRS to send you a bill, because they will. Really? That's your system? And she's like, yep, that's true. They'll send you a bill. She's like, they are not gonna, not know what you owe them, and they will come after you, but they'll send you a bill for it. So the best thing to do is to just pay them everything that you can and let them send a bill, because apparently you can only sign up for a payment plan once every 5 years. And she said, basically, unless it's an absolute last resort, you shouldn't use up your payment plan because you only get it once every 5 years. And I was like, you're the tax professional. If that's what you tell me to do, that's what I'm going to do. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pay everything that we can before April 15th. And then we're going to let the IRS write us a bill. Fingers crossed for me. We'll see how that goes. She's been doing accounting and stuff a long time, so I trust her, but it seems silly to me that there's not a better system than that. But okay. So that was that. And then, of course, what do you do when you hear that you have a $1,900 bill that you can't pay? You go shopping. You go shopping because that's I don't know why. We went to Old Navy, and I had this big long speech about how I needed to go to Old Navy to see what they had for cheap dresses, because I want to wear dresses at SSK in the summer in Tennessee when it's going to be hot, and I just wanted to go look and see what the styles were. Okay, well, I did. And no, no. It's that empire waist with all the puffiness that goes underneath, so you look pregnant even when you don't. And I look pregnant every day anyway. So yeah, no. I'm gonna have to look somewhere else for dresses. I might do t-shirts and skirts. I don't know what else to do really because those weren't working for me. But as we were getting ready to go, my husband said, let's go this way. And so we took a turn through the men's department. And we reached this point where I stopped dead in the aisle. And my husband was holding my hand and he kind of like yanked back and he stops and he turns around and looks at me. And I was like, I have to have this. And he doesn't even look to see what it is. He's like, no, no, we can't afford it. We have a $1,900 tax bill. We're not buying stuff. And I was like, I don't care. I have to have this. I don't have this. I don't know why I don't have this, but I need it. And it's only $7.50. $7.49 if you want to be technical. And he was like, you're not getting it. And I immediately was like, oh, I'm not kidding you. I had a full-on tantrum at 30 years old in Old Navy. Would not let him leave. Because I had a Star Wars shirt. Look, it's the Millennium Falcon. Do you see? And there's a little TIE fighter right there. Wait, no, that's A. It's right here. And there's one right here. He's, blowing up asteroids and stuff. This is my first ever Star Wars t-shirt. Me! The Star Wars, I don't know if I want to call myself a geek or a nerd, but, I'm a fan. I make all of my students watch Star Wars every year. Just episode 4 now. We're not going to get into those episodes 1, 2, 3. We're not talking about them. But episode 4, everybody should watch it. If you haven't yet, I'll wait. Go watch it. Did you watch it? It's awesome. So I had to have the Star Wars t-shirt. So I pitched a complete childish fit inside Old Navy. I mean, I wasn't screaming or anything, but I was obnoxious and I was loud. And he gave me what I wanted. He's like, whatever. He's like, I'm not going to win, am I? I'm like, no, you're not. So just let me win. He hands me his debit card because, of course, I didn't bring my purse in because we weren't buying anything. And went out and sat in the car while I went through the line and bought my t-shirt. But I have a Star Wars t-shirt. It was totally worth it. So that was Saturday. Ended on a positive note, I guess. Way to see the silver lining. We were going to go to Maine Maple Sunday on Sunday, which I was really looking forward to because I love maple cotton candy. And before we'd even set the appointment for taxes, we knew I was coming home because I wanted maple cotton candy. It's delicious. And we started talking about it and we decided we didn't really want to go out on Sunday because we'd already been out most of the day on Saturday. So we swung around, instead of going back through the way we normally go home, this way, we swung around this way to go home and stopped at the Sugar House, which was open on Saturday, and we were able to buy maple cotton candy. Now this is like $2.50 a bag, so I mean I had that in the car. It looks a lot like fiber, and this is a little bit compacted because it has traveled, across the state. Looks like fiber. Looks kind of like a silk hanky or BFL or something. This is delicious, scrumptious, wonderful maple flavored cotton candy. Does it look like fiber, like wool? But you can eat it. It just dissolves. It does not taste like maple syrup. Tastes kind of like maple sugar candy. Someday I'm going to record that dissolving in my mouth. Today's not that day. Sorry. I love this stuff. It's only available this time of year. I get it once a year. I bought 2 bags. All for me. I freaking love it. I love Maine Maple Sunday. They do tours of the sugar houses and all that, but we opted just to get the maple cotton candy and go home. And then we spend Sunday all day at home, just relaxed and rested and napped and knit and all kinds of good stuff. So that was the weekend. I got some mail. I don't know whether to show you it this week or not. Dead air. I know. I'm sorry. I'll keep it for grabby hands. I'll show it to you this week, but I'm going to keep it for grabby hands because I'm excited about it. So that was the weekend review. This weekend, Katie is coming down on Friday, and my husband is coming down on Friday, and Katie's actually going to spend the night, and we are going to hit the dye pots hard. I'm going to have help skeins, reskeins, warping, self-striping yarns, dyeing, drying, the whole kit and caboodle. I'm going to have some assistance. So expect great things. I do have some stuff to show you for the shop update this week. The shop update will be tomorrow night at 5 p.m. It's not Eastern Standard Time anymore because we're in Daylight Savings Time, but it's 5 p.m. current Eastern Time, and which is what, EDT, not EST, Eastern Daylight Time. I don't know. I have to figure out what that is because I know for the internationals that's important. But it's Daylight Savings Time, 5 o'clock. You have to figure out where that is. I think it's like GMT -4 instead of -5. Usually Eastern Standard Time is 5 hours from Greenwich Mean Time, but now we're an hour ahead of that. So 4 hours? Unless people, does Greenwich Mean Time change? I don't know. So ignorant of time and how it operates. Yeah, maybe that's why I never have enough of it. So, same bat time, same bat channel. Whatever time it is for you, it's the same time, my time every week, 5 p.m. on Thursday. So, that's the update's going to be. I do have some custom orders going up. Please, if an order on my shop says reserved for X, please don't buy it unless you're X. It confuses the crap out of me. And then I have to go back and email you and tell you that you can't have it because it's for somebody else. And I have to calm that person down because they're freaking out because they thought it was theirs, but now it's sold out. Just read, please. Thank you. I'd like to say that only happens once, but it's happened at least half a dozen times by now. So, but before I get to the dye pots, I'm going to tell you what I've been knitting. I knit on exactly one thing, but it's okay because it's finished. Finished. I have 2 socks. Look at that. I have the Nimbus 2000 socks. They are all done. This is knit out of 3U's Twisted in Fire. I do not remember the base, and I can't find the tag anywhere, but it's 50% superwash merino, 50% tencel. You can see, I think that maybe you can't see that it's pretty shiny. Maybe the yarn will show you better. Yeah, you can see the shine on that. It's pretty shiny stuff. I have this much left over. I have enough for 3 of the exact same socks. These are each 29 grams, and this is 29 grams. It worked out perfectly. I did not intend for that to happen, but that's what happened. These are, let me just put them right side up so you can see them. Toe-up socks. So they went toe-up. I did a rounded toe, which increases 2 out of every 3 rounds instead of every other. Details for that are in my Highland Handmades group. And it's just a 3-stripe. There's a charcoal, a silver, and a gold. And I did an afterthought heel. And my afterthought heels I don't do like toes, like a lot of people do. I actually do hat heel decreases, which if I take this off this sock blocker. I knit the silver round. The silver round was straight, and then I started the decreases. And I think you probably can see that the decreases spiral like a hat does because they're just knit 2 together evenly around. And I actually think it looks kind of like a nipple. They're kind of nipple heels. This one's a little bit worse than the other one, but true story, they're kind of nipple heels. And especially with this little gold bit at the end, it's just the way the colors went, I swear. But they fit really well. They're much more snug than my usual socks because I went down from a 64 stitches per on a US 2 needle down to 56. Yeah, that's 8 less. So I decreased it by an inch because I get about 8 stitches to the inch on a US 2. My gauge is pretty consistent, usually regardless of the fingering weight yarn that I use, which is lovely. I'm going to show you how it fits on my foot. I'm sorry for sticking my foot in your face, people. At least you can't smell it. So here's the foot. There's the heel with a little piton on it. And there's my toe. That's how the toe fits. It's very, of course I don't have it on straight probably, but it's very natural to the way my foot really is. And yeah, I really like them. I'm happy. Actually, they're really warm and I'm going to keep them on. I'm changing another one. They are not tall. I did not want tall socks especially going into the spring and warmer months if we ever get there, if it stops snowing. Yes, these are wool, but with the tencel, I figured they wouldn't be too hot, and I wanted sort of lighter weight socks that, um, that I could wear with sneakers, and it would be more interesting than plain white socks, and yet not so hot that my feet sweat to death. So I'm really liking them. As to what I'm going to do with this, I don't really know. It's not enough for a sweater. It's probably... I wonder if I could do an aviatrix hat with this and if it would stripe correctly where it's short rows. One way to find out, I guess. Maybe this will become an aviatrix. I really do like that pattern. And the baby that I knit the first aviatrix hat for, I had knit the 6-month side, but in fingering weight yarn, so it was a newborn size. And my brother says he's already growing out of it, so maybe I'll do the 12-month size. See if I can make it fit. It'll be interesting anyway. So that's what I've been knitting. That's it. First completed object in 2 months. 60 days since I've completed an object. I now have the Don't Cage Me In socks, the Rainbow Rib socks, both at 45%. The My Wish shawl and the Even Star shawl are both at 90%, and the Cthulhu mittens are at about 55%. So I need to decide which one of those. I'm down to just 1, 2, 3, 4. Down to just 5 unfinished objects. I'm sorry, I'm looking over here at my to knit list. So the question is, do I finish something else before I cast something new on, or do I cast something new on so that I have things going one after the other? Kind of want to cast something on. Oh, you know what? That's a lie. I'm totally going to cast something on, but it's for a specific project, and it's not for me, so it's okay. I bought these at Shirley's Yarns, which is my local yarn store not long ago. This is Cascade Yarns Pacific. It is 40% superwash merino wool, 60% acrylic, 100 ounces, 213 yards. This is color 47, which is a royal blue. And this is color 16, which is a minty green. It's a little bit more yellowy green than you're seeing. It's a little washed out on your screen. But these are going to become 8 squares of a baby blanket, 7-inch squares. I have to figure out what my gauge is. I got to do a gauge swatch. That's probably what I'll do tonight when I'm done photographing fiber. These are for a baby blanket for a friend. So that's what I'm doing next. And then spinning, I haven't done anything, so there's nothing there. Thigh pots. Shall we see what I've been cooking up? I'll talk about it more in processes, but I sort of changed not my methods of dyeing, but the time of day and how much I was dyeing, because I was having some difficulties managing everything. I'll talk about that more in processes, but I am catching up on custom orders. It took me an entire afternoon to catch up with my email. If you've been waiting for an email, I really apologize. It just kind of got away from me, and it just never seemed like the right time to catch up on all of that mail. And I keep an Evernote file of all my custom orders, but my custom orders don't just come in to my Gmail account. They also come in on Plurk. They also come in on Ravelry. They also, there are a lot of places where people are asking me for things, and that's why I keep it on Evernote, so that no matter where I am, I can access it. But if I'm in between classes, then I check my Rav mail really quickly, and it says, hey, can I have this thing? And I click save the email so that I have it for later. I sometimes forget to go back and check. And that's terrible customer service, and I'm horribly sorry, but I'm human, and hopefully I have everything caught up now. So I have been working on some custom orders, and some of those I'll be showing you, but I'll also show you what's available for you, because if somebody wants 1 skein of sock yarn, it is as easy to dye 3 as it is to dye 1. So I dye 3 and then I sell you guys the other 2. So that's kind of how I do it. So this is going to be heavy on lace and heavy on BFL today. I hope you enjoy. Shall we? Okay. The first up is I have several braids of superwash BFL going up into the shop. This is Plum Crumble. I had somebody ask me for a custom order of 2, so this one will be in the shop. It is just 1 skein. It is deep, deep plum, fades into a lighter sort of rosy plum. You can see it right there. It's pretty pink. And then there's a tan, sort of a taupey pink, and then a very, very, very pale creamy beige. Plum crumble, one of these. Next up is Found, which is silvery charcoal, bright red, and undyed areas in between. There's some significant undyed areas, which is great for blending. It really shows a variation of color. This red will actually fade almost all the way to pink if it is spun up with white. There's some barber pulling that happens. It's some really clever stuff that happens. But I just love this red. Why did you unfocus? There we go. So this is Found. I have 3 of these. I have 2 of the Cherry Blossom colorway, which is Tree Branch Brown, and then the deep and the pale colors of Cherry Blossom Flowers. Maybe it's better to show you that way. That's a pretty good view of it. I have 2 of these. I also have 1 skein of it in sock yarn, but that's for a custom order. So knit a little. Is that her name? Knit a little? Those are for you. Okay. Oh, and speaking of fiber, I also have 2 braids, the last 2 braids of these BFL, the non-superwash BFL silk blend. It's 75% mixed BFL, 25% silk. And this colorway is a new colorway. I'm calling it Contemplate. It is black, dark green, almost an olivey dark green, and violet purple. And it's almost impossible to see in this light, but the silk takes the dye a little bit differently. So you see threads in this matte black. There's threads of almost a jeweled black in there. You can't see it on this camera, but it's really pretty. I think this would make a great barber pulled yarn. And I have 2 of these. And this one is, of course, feltable, and the superwash BFLs are not. So, moving on to yarn. I have 3 skeins of Sassy Pants. Let me show you what this is a little bit better. 2 of these will be available for purchase. 1 of them will not. Sassy Pants starts with a military dark green, goes into a hot, hot, hot pink. The hot pink becomes bright violet, and then that violet deepens into black. It's sort of girly, but kick-ass. Kick-ass girly. We call this Sassy Pants. This is the colorway that I named for Sassy Pants Silly Frou of the Sassy Pants Knit, Sassy Pants Knitter. I can hear her singing the song, her intro in my head, but I can't think of what the name of the podcast is, whether it's Sassy Pants Knitter or Sassy Pants Knit. Sorry, Wendy, I'm sorry. Anyways, this skein, the re-skeined one is the one I'm sending to her. She had asked for me to dye it up in yarn. I had already dyed it up in fiber, but she's not yet a spinner. So this is it. This is how it looks like, all sort of skeined up. Sassy Pants. So there'll be 2 of those available in the shop. And that's it for sock yarn. I have 4 cones right over there. They've been there since Stephen was here. I will have pre-orders available for Bouncing with Brody this Thursday. I'm going to do, I've got to be honest with you guys, I can't do 44. I don't have time. Between Fiber Frolic and SSK, I'm at a 50% right now, 50% retention, which means for every 3 braids that I dye, 3 braids are going in a tote. I'm doing double pans of the same colorways so that I can get ready for those 2 big shows. I can't do 44 skeins of Bouncing with Brody. I am going to do at least a dozen. I'm going to put a dozen in the pre-order for Bouncing with Brody so that I'll dye those up. I have the yarn, so there'll be a very limited turnaround time for that. I hope to get those dyed up this weekend. And if there's more than 12 people that want it, then we'll see. But fewer than 12 people have contacted me to ask. So if you have contacted me to ask, then I feel like you should be able to get the, get the yarn. So I'm gonna put up 12 and we'll see how it goes. If I have to do more than that, I do. I don't want to deny anybody Bouncing with Brody yarn if you really want it, but logistically, it's getting to the point where it's a bit of a nightmare for me. So that's that. Sorry. Lace, which is what I was supposed to be talking about. I have several skeins of the black cherry lace, which is 1,100 yard skeins of 100% fine merino. It's a very light lace weight. It's almost a cobweb weight. I've seen lace weights that are much heavier than this, but it really knits up beautifully. This is Blue Lobster, 2 skeins. You can see the flecking that occurs right there. Whenever I dye Blue Lobster, this dye is not very well behaved. When it knits up, you almost don't see it. It looks like a huge chunk right here, but honestly, once it knits up, you don't see it much at all. Just because there's so many yards in between the red flecks that it's barely noticeable. I also did up a pair of skeins in Goldenrod, which is a very happy yellow. That color is pretty accurate to your screen. Very sunshiny yellow. I think Girasole would look great in this because Girasole is Italian for sunflower. How great would this be? I'm not knitting it again, but somebody should. This is a custom colorway, so I'm showing you, but you can't have it. This is Blooming Crabapple. This is for our dear knitter friend Jeffner, who asked for it back in January. I just uncovered the email. So Jeffner, these are coming for you if you still want them. Blooming Crabapple is a very pale pink and cream colorway. Another pale colorway I have is Lilac, very pale purple. It's not blue. I know on the computer it looks a little bit blue. There's a lot of difficulties in picking up purples, but it is purple. This is a very pale purple. And these have not been reskeined, so you might see chunks of color, but you won't see it that way when it knits up. The next colorway is Wildflower, which you have seen before. I love the way this dye breaks. It's got bluey, purpley, gray sections. It has bright, vibrant, almost red sections. It's got this beautiful reddish purple here. And more. I just think that's gorgeous, the way that breaks up. Of course, it doesn't knit up that way because, again, there's no big chunks of color, but I just like to look at it in the skein. I just think all those purples are pretty. This is one dye color. I do it half value, put it in the pot, put the yarn in, and then put it full value over the top. So the darker version's on the top, but it just the way that it breaks is just gorgeous. That's Wildflower, and I have 2 of those. And then this one is a colorway I haven't done in a really long time. It is a variegated. There are 3 colors in this. There's a green, a red, and a purple. No. Green, purple, and blue, but it looks red because it's a reddish purple. This is Cory, and it is done in dark green, which is almost kind of a tealy green. This muted grayish purple, very muted, where I allowed the colors to run together. There are pops of more bright sort of plum here. And then there's also navy blue, which the navy blue has a purple cast to it, so it can be difficult to see the difference, but that's the navy blue. So this is Cory. I love this colorway for muted, you know, gives you enough a little color to keep it interesting, but is the same enough that it's not going to lose, you're not going to lose the definition of what your lace projects are doing. So these are all sold individually, one at a time. 1,100 yards per skein, which is enough for a lot of shawls. The 2 together, 2,200 yards, should be enough for almost any lace project. And where it's such a fine cobweb weight, it doesn't weigh a lot. So you can have a much larger shawl without it weighing you down. So those will be available Thursday in the shop. That's tomorrow. I got to photograph all these still. I know what I'm doing tonight. Okay, I'm trying to get all this stuff moved out of the way. Shop update. What's next? Dye pots. Growth. I sent an email out to my favorite knitting book publisher for a couple of reasons. One, I've had interactions with her in the past. I know I can't say that I know her. We're not friends, but we have mutual friends, close friends, and she's a super nice lady and very helpful, and we've worked together on some stuff before. I've done some work for her before. So I emailed her and I said, listen, I have a podcast and I like to review some stuff, and totally name dropped and used the fact that we had some mutual friends. And in fact, I actually had the mutual friend ask for me. It's always good to start with the in. Anyways, The long and short of it is the publisher said yes. So starting next week, I'm going to be reviewing books, knitting books from Cooperative Press, which is a major like feather in my bonnet. I just want to scream from the mountaintops that I'm going to be able to share with you guys the awesome sauce that is Cooperative Press books. I've reviewed 2 books of theirs already. The first one was The Knit Girl Guide to Professional Knitwear Design, which is by Shannon Oakey, who owns Cooperative Press. And the other one was The Extreme Double Knitting by Alistair Post Quinn, which I haven't gotten to knit from yet, but I did review it. It was the weird one that was on my laptop that had the chick breathing fire. Such an awesome book. I cannot wait to get that started. I said that several months ago. I still haven't yet, but once my to-do list of doom is done, then I'll have some more free time to be knitting. The next book, the book I'll be, I've already have one book to review. The book that I'll be reviewing is Beyond Knit and Purl. The author of Kate. It's not in my head right now, and I don't want to click through the thing. But next week, there's going to be a review of that. I'll put it in grabby hands so that if you don't like book reviews, you can just click off. But it's coming. I'm very excited about it. I'm thrilled to be able to share the Cooperative Press love. Given my history with Interweave and my dislike of their business practices, it makes sense to put my money where my mouth is and to buy from sources other than Interweave. Not that Interweave doesn't have amazing books. At quick glance, I have more than a half a dozen Interweave Press books on my shelf. But there are other great books out there, especially the niche books that Cooperative Press does an awesome job promoting and selling. I don't know why that just blinked at me. Sorry. The niche books like Extreme Double Knitting and Shaping Shawls and some other ones that not everybody knits these sorts of things, but I don't think that makes them any less awesome. So double thumbs way up. I will be reviewing Cooperative Press books starting next week. So that's growth. Processes. Last week, I don't remember what night it was, one of the weeknights. I'd kind of been down, and my husband can totally tell when I'm not happy. Even if I think I'm hiding it, well, he's like, baby, you're totally not. What's eating you? And I was very honest with him, and we had a very frank discussion about how I'm overwhelmed. And I don't at all want you to think that I'm having a pity party, because I'm not. I am in no way trying to say that I have a bad life. That's not what I'm saying. But it never ends. This business will take as much energy as I give to it and more. The business is limited. I'm incredibly fortunate that the business, Highland Handmades, it's a really big truck that just drove by, is only limited by my ability to produce. Unfortunately, that makes me feel like I have to produce all the time. And I was frustrated because I was going home 2 weekends in a row, and that meant that I was losing 5 dye days, plus Stephen came over, and we had gone out Sunday night, and he came over Monday, so I lost 2 additional dye days there, and I was just freaking out because I just didn't have enough time, and I just needed more time. And I went on and on about how I needed more time, and there was no place to make time, and I was very frustrated because I felt like I was letting everybody down because I wasn't getting everything done. And, my husband can say all he wants, just don't get it all done, just let it go, just, you can only do so much. It doesn't make me feel any better. Like saying the words like, oh, it'll be okay, doesn't make you feel like it's going to be okay. It just doesn't. So I was frustrated and down because I don't like letting people down. I really don't like, I want to please everybody. I want to make everybody happy. So the fact that I had emails sitting there that had not been responded to in 2 weeks or more was incredibly frustrating to me. And it just built up the stress, which made me less capable of functioning. And I'd read this news article on Google Plus that had talked about how physical labor jobs, construction workers and laborers and things like that, have 8 hours of good work in them. And jobs that are high in the cognitive demands, jobs that make you think a lot, you're only good for 6. Now, I work from 7 to 3 on average, or 7 to 4 every day. So how many hours is that? Okay, so there's 7 to 3, that's 8 hours. Then I come home, I need a quick snack, and from 4 to 10, I work on the business. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 8, 10. That's 14 hours a day. Clearly, I was overdoing it. Nobody can give 100% for 14 hours every day. It's just, you can't. So he was very understanding, God love him, and very willing to sort of say, okay, so what then? How can we make this work? And I had, expressed frustration that I never got a chance to knit and I never got a chance to spin, and that I felt like I never had anything to share with you guys, and on and on and on. So what we ended up sort of tentatively scheduling was that I am working on Highland Handmades from 6 to 8:30. Right now it's 7:15. I'm in my window. From 6 to 8:30, I bust my ass for Highland Handmades. That's dyeing, drying, braiding, ball banding, rescanning, answering email, packing orders, everything from 6 to 8:30. From 8:30 to 9, we video chat every night because we are apart, and then from 9 on is my time. And from the time I get home, which whether that's 3 o'clock or 4 or 4:30 or whatever time, until 6 is my time. Time to decompress from work, time to grade papers if I have to, time to make my dinner. I mean, we'd had the discussion about how I was hungry and I was just going to eat peanut butter out of the jar because cooking took too much time away from dyeing. Because they both use the same stove. I needed to find a little bit of balance. And that's my process for this week, is finding balance. I gotta tell you, I love my job. I love Highland Handmades. I love school. I love it all. But to carve out that little window of time, which today was from like 3:30 to 6, for just me, was terrific. I watched a bad movie on Netflix. What else did I mean, I did braid some fiber, but it was just small stuff. I talked to my mom. I did a thing on Draw Something. I perused the internet. I did some stuff that I could do for myself without feeling guilty. I didn't knit. I did fold laundry. But that's okay because it was my time to do it, and I didn't feel like I was taking away from the business, and I didn't feel like my own needs were supposed to come last. So we'll see. I'm not sure that 6 to 8:30 is going to be enough time to work on my business, but we'll see how it goes. I am going to hit the dye pots really hard this weekend. Weekends have a different schedule. They don't apply. This is just weeknights that I'm talking about. So hopefully that'll be good going forward. I might be able to, I don't know, exercise again, which would be really nice, especially once the weather gets warm. And yeah, so that's my process for this week. I just needed to find a way to make it all fit because it wasn't all fitting, and something had to go, and it was me that was going. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't getting sleep. Sleep is the first thing to go when you have stuff that needs to get done. So I can't continue to crawl into bed at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, exhausted, and get up at 5:30 and do it all again. So, yep, that's my process. Not a whole lot to show you, sorry. I hope to very soon record. Maybe I can find a way to do that this weekend. I might be putting too much in my weekend. We'll see. A way to record a spindle plying technique video tutorial. I want to do, somebody asked me how I Navajo ply off the spindle. And Navajo plying is more fun for me on the spindle than on the wheel. So if I can put a video tutorial up that'll help somebody, I'm happy to. So I'm going to look into doing that. It may take a couple of weeks to get that out there, but look for it. It will be on YouTube. I may or may not post it to Blip. I probably will, and I just won't post it to the blog or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, process. Okay, all that leaves is grabby hands. So, grabby hands this week is this. This is henna, which is what I use to dye my hair. Now, you can't really tell because my hair is dark, but there's red highlights here. This right here is all gray. It's ridiculous. I'm going gray at 30 years old. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I was going gray at 15, to be completely honest, but it's gotten much worse in the past few years. So this is henna hair dye. which comes in a packet like this. This is powdered henna. And you mix this with a mild citric solution like lemon juice, orange juice, or something like that, until it's yogurty paste consistency. You leave it in a bowl overnight. You section your hair, you put it on your hair, you wrap your head in saran wrap for like 4 to 6 hours, take it off, rinse it out, and you're done. That sounds like a labor-intensive process, and it is. This particular dye comes from Henna for Hair, or also hennaforhair.com or mehandy.com. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, but this particular shade is called Rajasthani Twilight. I think I said that right. It is what they used to do their celebration, and they got rid of their celebration color, which is what I used last time, and went to this one. It's supposed to be the closest to that colorway. And it works beautifully on your hair. It's permanent. The grays never fade back to gray, which is more than I've had with any other hair dye I've ever used. They just sort of become bright copper highlights. And that's what gives my hair that red tint, because the brown doesn't really change at all. Just the grays go away and they become bright, beautiful copper penny orange. I haven't dyed my hair since August. It's now March. 6 or 7 months since I've dyed my hair. It needs to be done. It's ridiculous. This package cost me $7. I have 2 $7 packages, and with shipping, it came to less than 20 bucks, which is amazing. Each one packet is enough to do my hair. My hair is quite long. My hair is down to like about here, and I have very thick hair. I do concentrate on the roots first and then use the rest for the ends, but as long as my hair is, I've always had enough. It's cheap. It's very simple. It makes your hair very, very healthy. It reduces frizz. It makes it behave better. It makes it shinier. It makes it feel smoother. It's wonderful stuff. It does have quite a significant smell, and it is very labor intensive. But my grabby hands this week is Rajasthani Twilight Henna. You can buy it at hennaforhair.com. You should get some. You should do it, and then you should post pictures in the group. Speaking of the group, it is almost time for the 2-year podiversary. We are, what, 2 weeks away? 3 weeks away? Say the 28th. So we are, I'm looking at my calendar. I know, shocker, right? Another yawn coming on. So 1, 2, 3. Yep. 3 weeks from today is going to be the big podiversary bash. I'm going to have giveaways for somebody who's in the group. We have well over 500 members now, 540 something last time I checked. Somebody from the favorite podcaster moment thread is going to win a prize. I might do another random prize. We'll see. I've got some goodies coming, both main goodies and other podcaster goodies. Katie, JetGirl1313, has offered to donate some stitch markers in a project bag. Her stuff is gorgeous. I love it. So I hope she does that. And if you guys want to donate something to the prize, let me know. Any designers or anything you want me to pimp, I'll be happy to. Oh, that reminds me too, I got a thank you at the end here. I may give away some copies of my pattern. We'll see how it goes. I want to give some stuff away because I feel happy that I've reached 2 years of the podcast, and I want to celebrate. That's really not something on my head. That's my count. That's my clock. Just so you know, it looks weird when I'm sitting here like this. Anyway. All right, final thing I have to talk to you about is a thank you. Huge thank you to Carrie Steinmetz, our Knit Pearl girl on Ravelry. She has a wonderful blog and until just recently had a podcast as well. She sent me a pattern just because it was Friday, because she's awesome. The pattern is the Lady Edith shawl, which is a Downton Abbey reference. Edith is the middle sister, the somewhat selfish kind of homely one that we don't really begin to like until the end of the first season. I love Lady Edith. I think she's snarky and wonderful and great. Not all whiny and depressing and mopey like Mary, and not all, what's the word I'm looking for? What's Sybil? She has too many ideals. Not idealistic, but overly moralistic, maybe. I don't know. She's not so like too good like Lady Sybil is. She's just there in the middle. She just wants to be happy, and I just like that in her. So it's called the Lady Edith. I don't know if it's a shawl or shawlette. It's good size, and it's knit this way. So it starts at the end and it gets wider, and then you go until you got 50% and then you decrease to get to the other 50%. So it can work in any yarn, any weight, any, you know, fiber, anything like that. So I may look to see what I've got that I can knit that in. I have a skein of lace weight red mad color. It might look lovely in. We'll see how it goes. But I just wanted to thank Knit Pro Girl for that. That was really generous of you. It was unnecessary, but was totally welcome. So thank you very much. And that's all I have this week. So until next week, guys, happy spinning and knitting, and thanks for tuning in.